Good Monday morning, and welcome to Ice Age TV, the internal combustion engine age YouTube channel that talks about all my cars and trucks and SUVs, the motorcycles, the camper. Wow, it's Monday morning, another week ahead of us, and wow, look at the weather here. It's overcast, misting, Kiefer's all wound up, and for me, wow, what a weekend, what a Sunday. Did yesterday about kick my butt? Sure did. Woo! What a freaking job. Hey, good Monday morning there to all those people that watch my channel. Thanks for tuning in to the morning conversations where I take a word of the day and try to translate it into the cars and trucks and motorcycles, our life, our livelihood. And that's what I like to do. I like to talk about things. I've always had that type of conversation over the many, many years before the YouTube channel came along. So, oh my gosh. Wow. Yeah, the Colorado kicked my butt. Not only did it kick my butt last week living in that vehicle and getting in and out of it 10, 20, 30 times a day, but then yesterday to put a good solid 6 hours, if not longer, of work of getting this truck to get this truck to have deployable electronic steps. And even now, even this truck sits so high that even with the deployable steps, it's still quite the reach. I mean, it's a lot better than it was, but this little thing's just a little monster. It's a monster truck. I mean, sincerely, if you look at the height of this truck here, and you look at the F450, you look at the Ram TRX, the Raptor, that truck is so tall. Kiefer, come on over here. He's harassing the heck out of Ginger. Jesus Christ. He just loves to dominate that dog. Oh my gosh. So, and then yesterday we did the car show. Had a great time. Met a lot of people. Probably picked up some new subscribers. Really nice young men there. Just really like talking to the younger generation of people because the ones I talk to, they seem to have their head on straight. They really do. And I think it's the brainwashing of society, of the social media machine, that the minority pretends that everybody's a majority of their radical, crazy, stupid-ass ideas. It really is, because I just meet too many young people that come across to me as very smart and very good people. And, I mean, so I just think that it's just the game of the ongoing push by the whack jobs wanting to take control of this country and convince so many people that the majority are the minority. But they're not. I mean, so it's so bad. So, anyways, my brain this morning, how's my brain going to function this morning? I don't know. It's just, Jesus Christ, man. A lot going on. And, so anyway, so the word of the day is going to be quality. I thought today's word would be quality, Quality, which, this is so cool. My good friend Bill, the judge at the Honda dealership, he gave me all this Jeff Gordon paraphernalia. And you know as well as I do, a Zippo lighter, go buy a Zippo lighter. And how much would you pay for a Zippo lighter? I mean, I know for a fact these things are 50, 60 bucks. I've got a Harley Davidson one back here. These things are expensive. So I gave him, he wanted $60 for all of his paraphernalia that'll go to a Jeff Gordon. And so I decided to, I gave him 70 bucks. I just had a 50 and 220s. And I was like, hey, man, just take that. That's, you know, you've been very, I mean, in some ways, like, at the last second, he'd say, you know what, let me keep the lighter, because you could go to the pawn shop and probably get 50 bucks for that. But anyways, thanks there, Mr. Judge, man. I call him the Judge because of his name. So this is quality. It's like back there, that's a really good quality lighter. And then we have all the vehicles, the collection. That's where the separation of what some people think is good quality in a car and not so much. I think you get a lot of people. It'd be interesting to see if more people think Ford isn't the quality, say, that Chevy or Dodge is, or what the percentage of people are saying that Chevy's not the quality of the Ford. I mean, it turns into the biased opinions in your own personal experience. And if you had a bad experience with any brand product, then your thought is it's not very good quality. Honda I mean, I think most people would agree that Honda is a good quality product, even though they've had some Honda cars that have had challenges. And so I wouldn't say every single person thinks Honda is the best, but I think a lot of people can say that Honda kind of seems to set the quality. And I think that's what happened back in the 70s. Hey, here's a toad right here. Toad guy just hanging out. I'm sure if for you're my age, you know that Honda came along this country, Toyota came along this country. They kind of forced a hand. They kind of forced a hand on the automotive manufacturing world and even the motorcycle world to some degree to raise their standards, because the Japanese were so they were so, I guess, I'm trying to think of the word of what you could say they were, but they were so much more on the page of building incredibly quality things, disciplined. I guess you could say they were disciplined. I've told this story before, and some of those that don't watch my channel all the time, but I met this one gentleman that was an auto line worker, and he was telling me that he went to the auto side and his friend went to the motorcycle side. And he claims back in the early 70s that his friend worked at a motorcycle Honda factory, that he would put the bike together, take it apart, and put it back together. Honda was so strict on quality control, they would make them build the motorcycle twice. Wow. I mean, now, is that factual? I don't know. I'm just telling you what somebody said to me. Versus if you think about the 70s, 80s, even up in close to modern times, but not so much. But the running joke was, when you bought a Chevy or Ford or Dodge, if you ever had a car accident or you ever had like a windshield get busted and you had to take the dash out, the odds are you're going to find a beer bottle in the dash, behind the dash. Yeah, I mean, that's true stories. That many people that worked on the assembly line were hitting the juice throughout the day, and they would hide their addictions in the car that they were building. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure other people have heard that story too. But the implication on the American side always was that the Americans just didn't have the discipline, and then the union workers weren't really doing their job as well as like the Japanese. And I'm using the Japanese just because that's kind of my era of the Hondas, Toyotas, the Mazda, brand products, but more so I was always more the Toyota guy. I never forget seeing the first Toyota FJ Cruiser out in California, like in 1973, and I could just tell that was just a really cool, well put together vehicle. I can remember my dad walking the parking lot and the auto lot, and I would go up and I would look inside the cars. You could just tell, even back then, we had like a 1973 Toyota Celica GT. You could just feel the quality of that Japanese-made car that the Americans just didn't have that same type of feel to them. And just for me being a little kid, 10 years old, and I could see that just as a very young person in life of what was quality versus not. Even the point when I was growing up, I always wanted the Yamaha. The Honda was a little bit more money, so I was kind of more on the Yamaha side, and never was I a Harley Davidson person. Never, there were a lot of different brands out there at the time when I was growing up that were cool, but like Hidaka, I never thought the Hidaka was like the Japanese made product. I didn't think it had the quality, but they weren't really that, it wasn't such a dominant product. They didn't have the infrastructure like the Honda and the Yamaha dealerships had, Suzuki, all the Japanese. They got a better going. Hey, did you close the front door? Okay, good. So once again, I think that most people would probably tend to say that the Japanese have a better quality built items. But now, as time has progressed, I wouldn't say that's necessarily the case as much now as it was years ago, even though I'm sure many people would argue that you can go buy a Toyota Tacoma pickup truck and it'll outlive that Chevy Silverado, a Chevy Colorado. It'll outlive the Ford Ranger. I mean, I just know people. That's arguments. And you go back years ago, and I would agree with that. You come to present day, I won't agree with it because too many of the components are shared. Just like these running boards here, I think these are really good quality running boards. Let's go up here and check out the truck this morning as it opens up, or does. It has little LED lights. And so these motors, I can about guarantee you, these are the same as AMP, or they're the same as the Rough Country e-board. That would be because it's just now today, so many components are shared like never before. That's funny. I knew this little switch thing here would not stick. Gotta get a better plan for this, which is not a big deal. Just a little switch. What's cool is you can deactivate these things. So if you don't want them on, you can turn them off. Which is that cool? It really is a nice setup, but boy, oh boy, it's a lot of work. You have to. One of my subscribers, Biker Bug, he was saying, wouldn't it have been better just to take that to a shop and have them do that? In some ways, yes, but at the same time, I like to do how-to videos because I feel like my how-to video is going to give somebody really that's not a full-time mechanic a real better feeling for what it takes to do this. And so for me, yeah, it was a lot of work. Yeah, in hindsight, would I have done it if I knew it was 6 hours worth of work? I would have, just because I want to get it done, and I'm just not so sure a shop. I don't know, that could get expensive at a shop. So anyways, point of that is I just like to show people the quality of what you buy, and when you do it yourself, it's more, I think, realistic to those that are thinking about this, because if you don't have all the right tools, it's very challenging. And if you don't have the patience, it's even more challenging. So, but look how tall, to me, this truck just has such a much cleaner, taller look to it, which I think is really cool. I mean, this really is a great truck. I did kind of rag on it somewhat after being in my Ford Raptor on Saturday. I mean, this is a full-size truck. It's just a whole different animal, but I was just really trying to convey to anybody out there of what your options are at that type of money. You may want to weigh those options. So back to the installation. So for me, when you go to the Go Rhino video, I just mentioned this to my good subscriber, Biker Bug. I just mentioned that how you go to the Go Rhino video that gives you a video. It shows you how to do this stuff, and somewhat it is, but it makes it look like, not a big deal. And it's a very short video, so you feel like, what's the big deal? It can't be that hard. Yeah, and that's why my video, hopefully, in some ways, can radiate back to others more of the reality of, that it's not that easy. But back to the cars and, the trucks and in today's world, I think there's just so many shared components that I'm not so sure you can really call out the manufacturers as easily today as you could so many years ago, because it's just such a shared platform of components. Like the electric vehicles, the running joke of an electric vehicle is borderline, many people can get into the electric vehicle market because there's so many components out there they can use to build a car. Challenge is, how many can you sell? I mean, look at Fisker, there's a lot of electric vehicle companies right now that are struggling big time because they can get the components, they can put things together, but it's a challenge now is what's the quality, what's the perception, and that's what I think is really going on more than ever is it's the perception of what the EV market really is. And I think more than ever, like I've said a bunch of times, is the quality these vehicles are building, but the value. I think that's what most people would probably say is, I would consider an EV vehicle, but they still seem to be pricey. And I think that just witnessing from what I watch on your channel is so risky. Once you buy that vehicle, can you get rid of it? And that's a big problem. I mean, and it really is. I mean, so the EV market, once again, car market always has adjustments in pricing and everything else. But I think more people are just like, And at the end of the day, like one gentleman is reaching out my channel on saying I should be getting a Rivian. I should have got a Rivian over the Colorado Bison. And the Rivian's a cool truck. I drove the vehicle, but it's $30,000 more. I mean, I'm just going to guess it's a $90,000 truck. I could be wrong on that. But for me, the Rivian, I drove it. The challenge I had with that Rivian was in some ways the same challenge you have spending this type of money for the Colorado is when you go into the interior of the vehicle, it's a much smaller vehicle. And in that Rivian, it's not even set up like this. It's not even, doesn't even have legitimate drink holders. And then when you get in the back, what I noticed on that Rivian was, that's so funny. This thing here is, oh, it's so crazy how this thing operates. I just don't, it's the back door stays locked without me doing a double key. You got to go into settings to change it all. But when you go to the Rivian, the back is so small. It's so small. So for me, I just feel like, it's a, the thing is, Rivian's a cool vehicle. I'm not here to tarnish the Rivian vehicle. I'm just sharing with you that if you as an individual spend an extra $30,000, where it'll have some more capabilities and cooler vehicle, but at the end of the day, are you really spending? I mean, I would rather buy an F-150 Lightning truck because it's just a bigger truck, and it just fits my business model so much better. And are you going to spend $30,000 more in gas? And that's where you really have to sit down and say to yourself, the quality of life. And that's what kind of drove this conversation this morning is everything around us, the manufacturers, the whole world, it seems, is focused on bringing quality to life at a higher, better level. But in so many ways, I don't know. I don't think mankind's really accomplishing that. So when you go to the digital age, you go to the artificial intelligence, you go to the Elon Musk, who's hell-bent on Optimus and heck-bent on Neuralink and SpaceX and blah, blah, blah. And he's all about, in his world, of making the world a better quality place through all the things that he's making money off of. But at the same time, it seems like mankind is still in the same challenge and disarray that he's been in for thousands of years. We're in major wars where, sadly, people are dying. We're in a major drug. This country's seen some of the highest drug use and fentanyl deaths that it's seen in modern times. So the quality of life, in so many ways, for all of us, gets so attached to our really nice cars and trucks and motorcycles, and we're always critiquing what is better, which car is better, and which brand's better, and blah, blah, blah. And then for the green agenda, it's all about the quality of life and Mother Nature. And the claim is that these ICE vehicles are going to deteriorate mankind because Mother Nature, Earth, is going to get warmer, which is going to create havoc on mankind. And it's going to make mankind actually angrier, so blah, 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 blah. So, but their thought is, if you can bring quality-built EV vehicles with quality renewable energy, it's going to solve all those problems. But at the same time, like I just said, but yet mankind, if you look at the social platform, the nastiness that goes on in social media, people attacking other people behind the screen. If you look at what I talked about last week, babies, where the claim is that relationships babies have become the back door, have been kicked to the back of for so many of the young people that are more focused on something else. And so the quality of the future of life is being questioned because they feel like the population of the world is going to start to slow down and it won't be sufficient to support what it created. Now, once again, it's mankind, as always, trying to predict the future. And so for us, we all can get really caught up in, you get a scratch on your car. Yeah, it isn't these stories. You get your front splitter on your Corvette damaged. And just little things. One of my subscribers reminded me that that I've got this front window that I destroyed with the frickin' grinder. I kind of forgot all about that. It's like, gee whiz. Thanks for reminding me of that, right? But what I'm trying to convey here to those watching my channel is that all these material things, we all get heck bent on incredible, meticulous taking care of these vehicles. But yet in life, I witness families, the quality of life is really in despair. It's really bad. And it's really crazy. And how yesterday I went to the Lovettsville Diner for breakfast. My daughter likes to go to get breakfast after the car show. And I ran into a lady that at the end of the day, her son married a young lady. I used to go to the parts store. and the young lady is actually related to the man that I bought this property from. So it's the typical small town. Everybody knows everybody. It was just incredible. I had a really great conversation with this lady, and come to find out her son married the Jim Athey used to own this property, and then he had a son, Mark, and then he had a daughter, Amanda, and then she got married to a man named Matt. And so it's just, all of a sudden you start talking to these people, but then you start to hear the stories, the personal stories of what's going on in our society, in our country. And I'm sure everybody, for the most part, could have a story of a friend, relative, family that got into, went the wrong way in life. And so this woman, her name's Linda, she was just telling me about, what has happened in her life, and on how her daughter, sadly, became addicted to heroin from hanging out with the wrong guy so many years ago. And when she got addicted to heroin, her friends, her so-called network of friends, she claims that over time, 38 of her friends are all now dead. Wow. That's but we know, everybody knows this fentanyl. And it's interesting. I don't really watch the news, so I don't really know if the news is continually hammer on that, because they really did used to share about all the fentanyl use. And to the point that this woman, Linda, that lives in my own backyard here, the known fact is that the fentanyl use and availability is huge, which that's created the quality of life for the younger people. You read about it all the time. Younger people have died and die all the time from this, the quality of life of them thinking, for whatever reason, they get addicted to all these drugs. And I talked about this a while back about a drug versus medicine. And I think most people are astute to understand all that, because a drug is something that controls your body, and medicine is something that heals your body. And so when you have anesthesia or whatever, you put under, that's a drug. It controls your body. But then when you're giving medications to help heal your body, that can be more of a medicine. But people that take drugs, they're taking substance that controls their body and mind, which over time just then controls them. And then it turns into just a circle, which people understand all that. So it's just incredible on how today's world, we're so fixated on all the artificial intelligence, NVIDIA, that's the super chip manufacturer, and TSMC, Taiwan Semi-Manufacturing Company, the Chips and Act Science bill that the Joe Biden signed off on, the Inflation Reduction Act bill that Joe Biden signed off on, all this technology, the data centers, the rapid growth of us as humans interacting with computers more than ever in our lifetime because of this artificial intelligence coming to us and being able to use this to help us, so-called, do things even more efficient and better, and maybe even take your job or whatever. But point is, it's incredible how we're so fixated on all this stuff, but we are witnessing the biggest immigration from other countries to our country never seen in modern times. So the quality of life of these other countries is in such disarray that everybody's coming here with the so-called asylum, raise your hand asylum, and that's, once again, you have to say to yourself, it's incredible on how for today's knowledge, technology, the monies and the wealth, but yet mankind in so many ways is in havoc in so many ways throughout the world. Because we just talked about how we're in wars. You got the Russia-Ukraine war, you've got the Israel-Palestinian war, you have the Hamas war, you have, and then you come to our own country, we've got the drug war. In so many ways, we have an immigration war because we just are being overwhelmed with so many people coming to our country to feel like they're going to have a better quality of life. Because that's the message to the world, that this sitting government is going to pay your way for your woes and troubles to bring you a better quality of life. But at the expense of others, and that's what happens. It's all about cause and effect. So for the others in our country, are we going to witness the disarray and the loss of quality life because our government has given away too much and has created more hardships than good ships. And then we look at the quality of the LEO. That was a huge thing back in 2020. Was the George Floyd, opened the eyes that the LEO, law enforcement officers, were not behaving correctly. So many felt at that time that the quality of life would be better without police officers. And so we've all witnessed that many states, many inner cities have all passed laws to not make it such a crime to do things so the police can't enforce the quality of life. But yet that turns into an argument. You would get into a very hard argument with somebody that feels like the police are too forceful. And I'm not here, saying that the police don't have challenges. Of course they do. Yeah, I mean, no doubt. Why does this country always have to go shoot and kill somebody when they chase them down, when they could get a stun gun? There's technology out there that can do so many things. I mean, it gets the rabbit hole deep and heavy. But the point is, this country, this city administration, the quality of life, how are we seeing a better quality of life? And once again, I'm not here to promote Donald Trump, I'm not here to really tear apart Joe Biden, but you have to remember, Joe Biden is the guy in charge of our country for the agendas that are on our doorstep, and you have to say to yourself, what is going on? What is going on in our society? I talked about this here a few weeks ago. In Los Angeles, in California, the education system is so dismal that schools are going to start closing up because the quality of education has gone so far down that the parents see the paint on the wall and they're taking their kids out of public schools to put them in a better environment, a better quality of environment. I mean, and that's somewhat a growing trend, but I'm not the expert on that. But it's just reading information, and I can believe that because you just see it too much. Like Baltimore here, there was a whole article I read like a year or so ago. Baltimore, the inner city of Baltimore, it's showing pupils that never even go to school there to keep the people a secure job. But the pupils aren't going, students, they're not going to these schools. It's just fake information. And the students are just being pushed through the system, but they're not getting a quality education. But yet then the school system's raising, all arms that they're going to cut out positions and take away schools, not wanting to accept that the quality of education on their hands isn't up to par to what other cities and states are. And then even unions are demanding more money for the hardships of being a teacher. And don't get me wrong, I mean, I can understand being a teacher today, very challenging with social media and the parents telling you how to do things. But a lot of parents would say, well, not so much anymore, Mr. Iceman. You as a parent go up and start talking and start opening up the can of worms, and you're going to be escorted out of school, thrown in jail, or your kid's now tarnished because of what you going and objecting to the ideology that's the quality of education and life is being put on the students, and how you don't agree with that. And so then you're the challenge, you're the problem. And so, oh my goodness gracious, what's our next project, right? What are we going to do now? You tell you what, it's dangerous. It's always dangerous. You go to Timbrook Honda. That Honda Transalp is such a cool bike. Part of me is like, why don't I trade my Rubicon for that? I don't know. I mean, it would be a trade for a trade. But then I lose when does anything get ridden, right? And anybody watch my channel, like, you wanted that Honda Monkey more than anything. Yeah. And then the Honda Goldwing, do I trade it out from a manual to an automatic when it really would be it basically is just flip a note for a note because of what I own the bike and blah, blah, blah. Here's one thing that I can honestly say. You all witnessed me buying a lot of stuff, and I know you have the right to call me out and say you buy all this stuff, but you barely use this stuff. Okay, the camper, that is a winner. The camper, I have used this camper. We are living in this camper. I mean, I have never moved out of this camper. So and now my mother-in-law is coming in for them to head. My wife, congratulations to my wife. My wife has completed her master's degree at Harvard. Yes, she got an A. and for all her efforts. And so she's now going to graduation this coming Thursday, graduation ceremonies at Harvard. And so my wife and daughter and mother-in-law are going to Boston for the week to enjoy the festivities up there with the big celebration of graduation. So my wife, she's been diligently behind the screen of a computer for many, many years, wanting to up her education and get a master's degree. So very impressive. And wow, I mean, just wow. That was incredible discipline upon my wife's tenure, and she still has a full-time job. So pretty impressive there. So for anybody those kind of just watch my channel, wonder where the wife is, she just doesn't want to be part of the public video content, which that has nothing really to do with the success of my channel or the failures as well, right? And so then you get into like the campers, the quality of the camper. And for me, I think this is, for the most part, for the money spent, this is a really good quality built camper, and it works really for us. We just love this camper. Yeah, it's just hard to believe how this camper thing came to be. And that's what the irony is, that I was supposed to go to Bike Week last week, but circumstances kind of changed that. And it's really incredible. Everything really kind of plays out for a reason. For last week, my business had so many problems. I mean, just tons of issues and problems that I haven't seen recently. And it took a lot of time out of my day of me working and taking care of a lot of problems. Had I left and gone out of town, and a gentleman that helps take care of my business when I leave, it'd have been challenging for him. But the biggest thing is, my wife has spent since last week up through yesterday just getting everything in order to go on this trip to Boston. And it's taken a lot of her time. And so I just think to myself, wow, had we gone on that Bike Week vacation, we wouldn't have gotten back until late yesterday. And then she would have been back today, really, and just in havoc of having everything in order to leave to be out of town tomorrow. And I just think it just wasn't meant to be. So I'm really glad that I was like, nah, this just isn't the time to do this. Things just aren't right. And so that all played out. Who doesn't know that story where things are kind of like, you just don't feel like it's meant to be at the time. And you just have like a gut instinct. See, in a Kiefer, look how relaxed. When the dogs aren't with him, it's huge. He's a whole different dog. I mean, he's a very docile dog. Yeah, the quality of him wanting to beat up Ginger. So anyways, where'd the kid go? The kid was coming out. She's got a really busy day. I got a really busy day. I got to take care of a lot of things. And I got a fuel problem. I don't have any fuel. I got to figure out my fuel situation back here. I got fuel back here for my lawnmowers and my ATVs and my side-by-side and the dirt bikes. And yeah, I got a project. Rain isn't giving up, so the pool thing is definitely on hold. But the weather really hasn't even been great to have a pool. It usually is Memorial Day when most people really so-called open their pool up for the quality of good weather. Usually starts to prevail through the June, July, August, warmer months in this northeast mid-Atlantic area. So that'll be there. So Kiefer's just taking a good old nappy there. So that's it. I'm going to wrap it up with that. Oh, you know what? I do want to talk about one more thing before I let it go. It's Elon Musk. So with Elon Musk, it's all about him having challenges with his full self-driving. And the full self-driving, he apparently, out of San Francisco, has a major pending class action lawsuit against his company, where the Tesla owners are now going after him because they're paying these extravagant fees of like $8,000 up to $15,000. The Tesla people will be more abreast of this. If you want to weigh in on this. But anyways, Elon Musk is being called out because so many of his customers that have bought the Tesla FSD, full self-driving, they're not able to use it like he told them they could. So they want to file a class action lawsuit against them, and they want their money back for the monies they paid into buying the car to have that turned on in their vehicles. So, and it's coming out of San Francisco, and I've said it many times, that I think as time progresses, Elon Musk is really going to get attacked more and more and more, because he's shown his true colors, that he's not the green activist that so many thought he was, and he's not really the liberal-minded person, And in some ways, he has a Donald Trump personality in some ways of how he just wants to say whatever he wants to say and suffer the consequences later. So it's going to be very interesting as time progresses with Elon Musk about how he gets targeted. And I'm not here to be critical of Elon Musk. I'm just sharing information because on his X site, it's been criticized because it's just too much free speech that is a lot of the hate speech. So, but interesting to see how that'll all play out. Now look at this here. Is this my Whipple supercharger? A Whipple supercharger is coming from FedEx Freight tomorrow. And I'm supposed to be here for delivery. But it's FedEx Freight. Oh, this is my other delivery. Yeah, I gotta go. So that's crazy. That showed up today. So anyways, everybody, thanks for watching my channel. I gotta go. So once again, hope everybody has a great day. Stay safe. God bless. And stay tuned for more adventures. What plays out today.